So right now it's beautiful in Michigan. I don't know if you can see, it's snowing and it's a very calm and quiet day, a perfect day to paint. And I plan on doing a vintage floral. I have an intense liking to vintage style paintings because I think they have stood the test of time and they have brought so much beauty to us for so many years. And of course, when I do anything, I'd like to add my own flavor to it. I don't believe in recreating something that has already been created. For those who are following the channel, I hope that has come through. It is to the extent that I can't even share an inspiration picture because I deviate so much from it. And I believe that's a good thing. And if any of you are having trouble sticking to an inspiration picture, that I think is a good thing because that means you want to develop a style of your own, which I think is excellent for an artist. So in today's episode, I also want to share some of my learnings, which I feel some of you who are starting out might find useful. One learning that I had early on with watercolors when I started a few years ago was to not overwhelm myself with supplies. Honestly, there's so much out there. There are so many brands, and a lot of them, the top brands, are comparable. They each one of them have their own characteristics, and if you know them and if you can build an affinity towards one, that really helps. That really helped me because what I wanted to do was to expose myself to the vast breadth of the pigments and not get the same pigment in multiple brands and compare and contrast them. I went with Holbein because it has a certain characteristics where it does not disperse very quickly, and that suits my style of painting. So that's the reason most of my pigments are from Holbein and quite a few from Dainayw as well. So that really helped keeping my mind on the painting and not so much on the supplies. And even for the brushes, I honestly think you can start with just a couple. Even at this stage, I have a rule for myself that I don't want to go beyond 50 brushes, and that too I feel is a lot. And like I said, if you're starting out, just a few, 2 or 4 of them are just good enough. So the first point is to not overwhelm yourself with supplies and keep your mind on the painting style or understanding the pigments and understanding various aspects and techniques. The second learning I want to share is to stick to professional level supplies. When it comes to pigment and paper, the professional level supplies bring out the best in you. And I know how it is when you're starting out. Your first painting is the motivation for your next painting and the next painting. And if the first painting doesn't look good, then that would just make you stop, and that's the worst thing that can happen, right? So the professional level supplies makes such a big difference. I would say not even student grade, just go after the professional level. And those would reveal your capabilities in the best light, and that's the best favor you can do to yourself. That said, it's also important to do a lot of paintings. I mean, a lot of trials. And if you're using professional level supplies, especially paper, where each sheet costs $1 or $2, that might just prevent you from being yourself and being freer when you're painting. So for that, I would say it's helpful to have a stack of trial paper, and I go with Canson, and especially when I'm trying out palettes and trying out different combination of colors, I tend to use Canson. But I know in my mind that whatever I do in Canson cannot be replicated on Arches, and delightfully so, because Arches will always give a better result than Canson. And but strange things do happen to me too. I do a lot of trial on Canson and I get used to a certain result, and when I go on Arches it doesn't give me, because even Canson would give you certain things that are beautiful. So just know that at the back of your mind that both papers will not give you the same results, and with that thought you can use the trial paper for certain things and just cut down on some of the costs. And finally, if you want to get started with watercolors, but it's the initial expense that is stopping you, then I have a bit of good news. I would say the initial investment into watercolors is going to be about $200 expense, which is going to cover a set of 12 pigments from any key brand, and professional level pigments, and a stack of Arches watercolor paper, and a stack of trial paper, and a few brushes. The good news is that these supplies are going to last you at least a few months. I mean, given that you will do a few paintings each week. And after this initial experience, and hopefully a positive experience, you would know which direction to go to, like what size of paper suits you, which pigments you like, and what brushes work for you. And then you're ready for your next expense. So with that, I'll start my vintage style painting. So stick around and see how it turns out. So for this painting with stylized tulips, I wanted to create a vintage style, almost like a wallpaper print. So that was the goal. And I also wanted to use the granulating colors mostly. I mean, not all granulating colors, but wanted to consciously use granulating colors. And for that reason, I used, I chose the cold press paper, although I love the granulating colors on the hot press paper. It gives a totally different feel, but the cold press has its own rendition of the granulating colors. So that was the idea behind this composition. So let's take a look at the colors we used. So going after the yellow tulips first, the non-granulating color that we used, which was for brightness, was the permanent yellow deep. As I said, this was non-granulating, and this is from Holbein. And then I matched it up with a granulating color, another favorite, which is the yellow ochre. Again from Holbein. And these go very well together. And for the dark highlights, I used sepia. Again, granulating. Sepia and yellow ochre are granulating, but permanent yellow deep is not. And I think permanent yellow deep offers the much needed brightness to the painting, because the granulating colors can be bright, but it does not have that kind of staining brightness which a non-granulating color has. So it's a good idea to combine non-granulating and granulating colors together to bring out the best of both worlds. So permanent yellow deep, yellow ochre, and sepia. And sepia, you can see, is beautifully granulating, and so is yellow ochre. And then we wanted to match it up with another contrasting color in the flowers, and for that I used Daniel Smith's Mayan blue. And this color is so pretty that I can tell you, you can make an entire painting with just Mayan blue. You can't describe the beauty of this Primatech color. And I did not use any other color. And that's another thing with granulating color. They can be very light and very watery, and they can give you a very dark pigment. And let me just show you the mass tone from my palette. It's that's so much easier with a granulating color. You can get very dark spots, and then you can get absolutely translucent, absolutely translucent, glowy highlights. So the entire tulip here just had Mayan blue, no other color. So we got the highlights, both light and dark, with just Mayan blue. So that, and then the leaves, again, I combined a granulating color and a non-granulating color. So for the granulating color, it was the Undersea Green from Daniel Smith. This color finds a frequent appearance in all my painting, many of my paintings, not all of my paintings. So Undersea Green. And like you can see, you have the mass tone, and then you have these very beautiful, absolutely translucent highlights. Let me get the mass tone one more time. And the other thing with granulating colors is they're a little bit harder to activate. But I mean, just know that if you're using them for the first time, you may have to move your brush a couple of times in your palette to get the mass tone. So just look at this. I mean, the darkest tone and the lightest tone. The lightest tone is the gorgeous, beautiful you know, very translucent highlight. I mean, absolutely love this. And you will see this exact same phenomena in mine blue, you know. Just look at that. And you can see that in the painting as well. So, and same goes for yellow ochre and sepia. And that is the core of the beauty with the granulating colors. And then we, for the leaves, we match it up with a non-granulating leaf green. And like I said, nothing, I mean, you can't go wrong if you were using staining luminous colors with granulating colors. If you can match them up, you got a winner in terms of palette. So this one is luminous, the leafy green, luminous, non-granulating, and it will offer the much needed brightness to the painting. And then if you match it up with the granulating color, you get that beautiful gradation of, you know, the really dark, intense spots, and then you very translucent, absolutely unethereal, absolutely beautiful highlights. So that was it color wise for this painting, and I absolutely loved doing this. And I try to keep my interests very wide and broad, and I have a thing for the vintage prints, you know, and every now and then I want to do a painting where I try to recreate these very beautiful floral watercolor patterns, which you see in Wallpaper, which you see in China, and you know, I mean, they're present in every walk of our lives, and they have survived so many 100 years. So they bring this beautiful, they bring the beauty and happiness to our everyday life, and that's what I love about these. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you will give this a try.